Hello and welcome to the RacingBet preview for Saturday the 3rd of April, yet another weekend of Group 1 racing in Sydney, headlined by the Group 1 Vinery Stud Stakes and the Group 1 Tancred Stakes. We also have a really good meeting over in Melbourne at Caulfield, which we're going to sink our teeth into and try and find some winners. I'm your host, Tim Geers, joined as I am by Trent Crebbin each week. This week we're brought to you by BetDeluxe.com.au. Make sure you jump on BetDeluxe.com.au for a bet this weekend. Trent, you're looking forward to the Caulfield meeting. We've got a good meeting up in Sydney at Rosehill. Take us through your initial thoughts of the program.
Yeah, the Caulfield meeting is really strong, I thought, just for kind of off-season racing. There are quite a few listed races on there. I thought they attracted some really strong fields, some very progressive horses, and I think there's angles to be had all day. Really, I'm quite keen to bet up at a few at kind of that decent price range, $4 to $8 or so. I reckon we can come away with a few results.
Of course, the Caulfield meeting headlined by two Group 3s on the card, the Easter Cup and the Victoria Handicap, along with a couple of decent little stakes races in amongst the card. So, yeah, handy little meeting. No Group 1 racing in Melbourne, but definitely a card to look forward to. As I said, up in Sydney at Rosehill, looks like we're going to be playing on a dry track this week for the Vinery Stud Stakes and the Tancred Stakes. No real rain predicted. I think the track's somewhere around the soft 5 at the moment, but yeah, with no rain in the next couple of days, we should be on a good force surface come Saturday. So looking forward to that for a change. We'll kick off with you in Melbourne, Trent, before we duck back over to Sydney. We'll get through your best bets and then we'll take a look at the day's 2 features in Sydney, along with my best bets. Your best bet at Caulfield comes up in race number 4. You're keen on horse number 6, Black Pen, currently $4.40 with BetDeluxe.
Yeah, Black Pen looks a really good chance here. Comes out of the Mornington Guineas behind Dom to Shoot. Probably should have given that horse a real scare there. Finished about a length or so off him. Just got shuffled out the back at an awkward spot there. Kind of came off heels and really charged to the line. Ran the fastest last 400 metres of the race. Stays at the 1600 metres here. I don't think that'll be a problem because he looks to strike a much faster race shape, which is really going to suit. Looks to be a stack of speed on paper. So he's just going to be sitting just worse than midfield, I think. But I think he's really going to enjoy that fast speed and have every chance to come over the top of them. I think he's a good bet at around that price. Also going to be having something on number 4, Captain Spud, at around $8. He's just started very short. All starts his prep. His last 2 wins have been very good. And he beat a horse called Kermie a couple of starts ago who wasn't far off. Very impressive midweek winner, Steinem, the other day. So I think he's a good play in the race at $8 as well. But yeah, pretty keen on Black Pen at around $4.50.
Talk about an impressive midweek winner. Geez, that was impressive by Steinem. Looks to be heading towards probably the Australasian Oaks. Would you suggest?
I believe that's the plan. And I think she'll probably be one of the hardest to beat there. 2,000 metres doesn't look like it'll be a problem. So yeah, very, very impressive.
All right, we'll move on to your best value bet of the day. It comes up in one of the day's features at Caulfield. Race number 8 on the card is the Group 3, not the Group 2, the Group 3 Victoria Handicap. You're with the top weight number 1, Mr. Quickie, currently around $9 with BetDeluxe.
Yeah, I thought Mr. Quickie was a decent play here. He's a well-known horse, got a good record overall. First up, he was very good in the futurity behind Probably Arcadia Queen, which is obviously the elite form for pretty much any race. And then he ran in the All-Star Mile and it was just too wet for him by that stage. He doesn't handle wet tracks and it was bordering on heavy by then. Had a little bit of a freshen up, comes back to the 1400 metres where he's actually got a very good winning record, 3 from 6 starts, runs well at Caulfield. He's going to get a long way back, but I think there is quite a really genuine tempo on here as well. Like you've got the likes of Grey Worm, Be Good to Your Mother, Age of Chivalry, all drawn out, and there's a few others that are really going to push on as well. So he's another one that's going to get back. But I just think at the price, he's the class horse of this field. And if he brings what he did first up, he'll really be charging to the line. And I think he's a decent price to find out.
All right, we'll leave Melbourne there and we'll get over to Sydney at Rosehill. Dual Group 1s to get through. We'll kick off with my best bet of the day, which I'm pretty sure will be your best bet of the day up in Sydney as well, Trent. We're both really keen on this horse. Race number 8, horse number 4, Rock. He's currently around $4.40 with BetDeluxe. Just love the setup of this horse. First up, he ran really well, running home strongly in the Ajax Stakes. He ran 3rd on that occasion behind subsequent Group 1 winner, Think It Over. Of course, Think It Over, we tipped at $41 on top last week. Just had to sneak that one in there. But Rock comes into this second up from a spell, and his second up record reads 3 starts for 3 wins. So he should take good improvement out of that first up effort. And I think if he strikes a really winnable race here, the Doncaster Prelude. As I said, the form's been frank from that first up run. He hit the line well. He's impressive second up record. And I just reckon he's a great price here, around $4.40 or $4.60. Take me through your thoughts on Rock, because I'm ready to just about unload.
Yeah, I thought he was a great price. I thought he should be closer to probably 360 or so rather than 460. It is an open field, but yeah, like you said, that second up record, very strong. And yeah, I think it overs franked that form. And just to touch on that as well, that was an all-time day on Saturday, both in Sydney and Western Australia from yourself. It was winners left, right and centre, big prices, huge units return. So a bit of a pat on the back there required, I think, from the punters.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's good when they all land in the right way, just so you see them. Good by yourself and Josh as well on Wednesday. I had a little loss at Bunbury on Wednesday, but made it back at Sha Tin on Wednesday night. So there's plenty of racing this weekend to carry it on into. Good Friday racing, of course, in WA. Big weekend Saturday, and then Easter Monday racing both in Australia and Hong Kong. So looking to carry the good form forward. So hopefully we can do that with my best bet there. That's race 8, number 4, Rock. Currently $4.40 with BetDeluxe, as I said. And looking for him to make it 4 out of 4, second up from a spell. Move on to something at a little bit better odds. We'll kind of go in reverse order here, because my best value bet of the day comes up in the day's second Group 1. That is the Group 1 Tancred Stakes over 2,400 metres. This is race number 7 on the card. We'll get through this one first, and then we'll jump back to the Vinery Stud Stakes, which is the race before. But my best value bet of the day is race 7, number 13, Toffee Tongue, currently around $9. She was the last start winner of the Sky High Stakes. That was over 2,000 metres. I think things fell their way on that day. Third up, good track, probably a drop in grade. She was able to get up where she defeated Spirit Ridge on that occasion. She meets Spirit Ridge better at the weights today. She only goes up about half a kilo, whereas Spirit Ridge goes up about 3.5 kilos. So given the fact she was able to run him down last start, she was strong on the line, gets up to 2,400 metres and meets him 3 kilos better at the weights. I thought there was no reason that she could not run well again here. I don't think this is a vintage edition of the Tancred Stakes by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, I know we've got a Cox Plate winner in there, but whether or not he's at his best is a large query at the moment. But yeah, I thought around $9 with a soft draw, barrier 2. We know she's going to run the distance. 2,400 metres, I don't suspect it's going to be any problem for her. She's had 5 starts in Group 1 company for a win and 2 second placings. Her one start at this track was a win last start. I think she's peaking, 3 weeks between runs. Tom Marquand sticks and back on, strikes a firm track once again. I thought she was a good bet at around $9. I think Spirit Ridge can probably improve from that first up effort. He was first up off 9 weeks off. So his effort to run second to Toffee Tongue in that Sky High Stakes was admirable. Outside of that, we've got Melody Bell at $7, which on face value as, what is she, a 14-time Group 1 winner. $7 in a field like this would seem an insane price, but the fact remains she's struggled from what we've seen in Sydney in the past and really in Australia, these past few preparations. Her best form in Australia has been in Melbourne. She's obviously gone back and won multiple Group 1s in New Zealand, but whether she can replicate that, stepping up to 2,400 metres for the first time in her career in Sydney, which is typically a jurisdiction she's struggled in, that's the query on her, of course. Could make a case for Mirage Dancer at double figure odds. He certainly comes into this off a good platform, third up from a spell. What do you think? This is a bit of a dartboard job, this Tancred Stakes.
Yeah, it is. It's quite tough. I wouldn't really talk you out of anything, to be honest. Like you, I thought Mirage Dancer could probably peak here third up. And it could also be just we're kind of forgetting the obvious horse here in Angel of Truth, who was only less than 2 lengths off Very Elegant and a Day last start on the back up here from the Ranvet. So, he's $8.50. It's probably not, I wouldn't talk you out of him either. So yeah, plenty of options there. Perhaps Angel of Truth and Mirage Dancer for me, but like I said, it's very open. I wouldn't talk you out of anything.
I could even make a case for the likes of Sharara here, and at a stretch, she's ideal, who of course should have won last weekend. But yeah, look, this really is a race that you could, throw a blanket over or spin the wheel and land on one and be happy with it. Your quick thoughts on Sir Dragonet?
Well, if we're into the good track range, I think there's a decent chance he'll scratch. got back to form a bit last start. It was a decent run in the Ramvet, getting up to 2,000. I think probably 2,400, 2,400 is probably going to suit even better. It's just a good track you probably have to be against. But yeah, started to show a little bit of something last start.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just him getting fit, up in distance. As you said, the good track's going to be a big query, but up to 2,400 kind of scares me with him. Be interesting to see what the market does with him. Should be, really fascinating stuff. But for the Tancred Stakes, I've got Toffee Tongue on top. That's going to be my best value bet of the day, nearing somewhere around $9. I think that's a good bet. We'll rewind a race back to race 6. This is the first Group 1 on the card. It's the Vinery Stud Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies over 2,000 metres. Typical form races to look at for this race tend to be the Far Lap Stakes and even the Kembla Grange Classic. Now, we've got a couple of horses at the top of the market who bring completely different form lines to that. Harmony Rose, number 2, comes out of the Randwick Guineas, where she obviously ran third behind Lions Roar and Moonga. That form was franked last weekend when Moonga won the Rosehill Guineas. And then you've got Personal, who comes down from Melbourne, having run consecutive placings to open her preparation. We know she stays up over distance, given she won the Oaks in Melbourne last campaign. I'm going against those, and I'm actually following kind of the pattern. You know, I'm a big patterns man, and I'm going to follow the patterns of the form references that tend to be favoured in this race. And I'm going to stick with Hungry Heart. I was with her in the Far Lap Stakes. I think, she took Chris Waller's record to something like 6 of the last 7 winners or 7 of the last 8 winners of the race or something crazy like that. And I don't know whether it's just because she found a really suitable and much easier assignment, or whether she was just starting to get fit up over ground and back onto a firm track. She now gets up to 2,000 metres. I'm just going to bank on the fact that she's back in winning form, hopefully takes a confidence boost, back onto a firm track. If you look at her firm track stats, she's had 6 starts for 5 top 2 finishes. She's had 4 starts on soft ground for just 1 minor placing. So maybe it's just a case that she needs a firm track. Draws well in barrier 5. Karen McAvoy goes on board, replacing James McDonald. That's an interesting jockey move for mine. James McDonald obviously goes on the top weight, or I shouldn't say the top weight, but number 1 Personal. So he chooses to get off, but I'm going to stick with Hungry Heart. $6 is the current quote for her at betdeluxe.com.au. Outside of her, I think a couple of value are Elizabeth and Miraval. Now, they both come out of the Kembla Grange Classic last start, where they ran 1-2. Miraval got the better of Elizabeth on that occasion. There was less than a length in it. That was over the mile. They now both step up to 1,600 to 2,000 metres, should I say. And yeah, just that has proved a reliable form reference for this race going in the past 5 years or so. So currently $14, I think Miraval is, and $15 for Elizabeth. You could certainly do worse than that in this race. Have you had a look at this race, Trent? And if so, which way are you leaning?
Yeah, I had a brief look at it. Found it quite tough. I wasn't really sure what to go. A bit of a jockey kind of merry-go-round here, like you said, with J-Mac going on to Personal, and then Damien Oliver takes the ride on Impecunious. So I thought it was quite good as well in that Far Lap Stakes behind Hungry Heart. I think she'll probably want a wetter track, just off the stuff she kind of did in Melbourne as well early. So not sure about her. I thought Personal ran really well in Melbourne. In that last start, she sat just too close to a really strong tempo and kept kicking. She's going to appreciate getting up in trip. But yeah, like you said, it's quite open. I could even make a case for the one down the bottom of the list there, number 10, Princess Rainey's. Just very lightly raced filly, stepped up to 1,600 metres last start and was really too strong, beat Salto Angel by nearly 2 lengths. That horse, of course, ran second to Personal in the VRC Oaks back in the spring. So, she's probably got a bit to make up, especially experience-wise, but, she's got lots of upside, and I wouldn't shock her to see her make the grade in time. Whether this comes a bit soon, not sure, but I think she's quite talented.
Okay, so Hungry Heart for me in the Oaks, and smaller bets on Elizabeth and Miraval, both at double figure odds. Now, before we let you go, I'm going to give you another tip, which I'm really keen on in the card. Rosehill Race 3. This is the Tulloch Stakes, the race leading into the Derby. And I'm pretty keen on this Kiwi, number 2, the Frontman. This stable, whenever they bring a horse for this race, and particularly for the Derby, they always seem to go well. They won this race last year. They also won it back in 2017. And the 2 years between that, in 2018, they had 2 runners. It ran 3rd and 4th. And the year after that, 2019, they ran 2nd in this race. So whenever they bring runners over for this race, they always run well. this horse follows basically an identical setup to the rest of their horses that they bring over, coming out of a couple of the longer staying Group 1s in New Zealand. Hugh Bowman goes on. This is his first run in Australia. I think $5 and somewhere around $1.80, $1.85. I think it's a terrific each way bet. Happy to go hard there. And one of the better bets on the card. That's race 3, number 2, the front man. Just a little one outside the box before we let you go. Trent, as I said, Good Friday racing over here in Perth. We've then got a big Saturday as always. There'll be something floating around on Sunday before we then round out the weekend with Easter Monday racing in Melbourne, Sydney, and in Hong Kong. So there's plenty happening over the weekend. Any parting thoughts?
No, I think that'll be it. Looking forward to the championship starting next week in Sydney, and we'll see you again then.
Yeah, well, I'll be over in Launceston for the next couple of weeks, so we'll try and figure something out to record a show for the championships, but leave that with us and we'll try and figure something out. In the meantime, you can find all of our previews on racingbet.com.au. Best of luck.